This is not a drill. The Royal Peace Summit looks to be on between King Charles and Prince Harry. This would be the first time they've met in person since February of last year. So Charles and Harry are expected to gather in London when Harry visits the UK for the Well Child Awards. Now, let's hope that Harry doesn't have the reverse Midas touch when it comes to the Well Child Awards, given the fact that Sentibale, the charity that he co-founded in memory of his mother, is now a smoking ruin of a charity and a public relations dumpster fire. But here's the crux of the matter. The bottom line is that Harry and Charles are keen to reunite, but there's one person in the royal household who's not happy and who is reportedly incandescent with rage, and it is the Prince of Wales, Prince William. Now, why is William so against this reconciliation? Well, because William has a long memory. He knows that Harry has done so much damage to the royal family. We had the Netflix documentary series in which the Queen, the late Queen Elizabeth, was mocked by Meghan Markle over the curtsy. We know about the awful traitorous book Spare. We know about the allegations of racism against the royal family on the Oprah interview. We know about lie upon lie upon lie from the couple, including their near catastrophic car crash in New York. New York, by the way, famous for its gridlock traffic. You can't go faster than 3 miles an hour. It's impossible to have a catastrophic collision. And then, of course, the lies about the date of their wedding, which was contradicted by none other than the Archbishop of Canterbury. William remembers this disloyalty. He remembers the lies. He remembers the attacks on the royal family, who, let's not forget, aren't just the monarchy, part of the structure of the British state. They are human beings, and they have feelings, they have emotions, they have pride. All of it has been ridden roughshod over by Prince Harry, a pathological and dangerous man, and provably the world's least happy millionaire. So William is not just a man in possession of a long memory who hasn't just forgotten what Harry's done. And I don't blame Meghan, because there will always be Meghans in life. Men make mistakes, they choose the wrong women. Sometimes women choose the wrong men. I'm delighted to say that's not a problem that afflicts Mrs. Dolan, but here's the point. It is Harry that has allowed the damage to his family to happen. It's him that's allowed the damage to his country to happen. It's him that has allowed the damage to the monarchy to happen. And William hasn't forgotten that. So he doesn't just have a long memory, William, and colossal intelligence. But William has loyalty, right? This is a guy with principles and with values. And his instinct is to the family and to the great institution of the monarchy. And this royal summit, this peace summit between the incredibly weak-willed King Charles, who once again is indulging his spoiled brat son, Harry, what this peace summit is going to do is make life so much harder for Prince William, the Prince of Wales, as he prepares to become king. Now, it's indelicate to talk about timelines, although that didn't stop Prince Harry when he appeared on the BBC saying, I don't know how long my father's got, which is an obnoxious and cruel thing to say about your father as he battles cancer. But the bottom line is that William knows that sooner rather than later he will be king. Now, I would hope that Charles will be king for decades and decades to come. It isn't going to happen. He's in his 70s. He's battling cancer. There are reports that he's more unwell than we're being told. He certainly was very, very emotional at the VJ Day celebrations when a veteran paid tribute to the king and referenced his cancer battle. And both he and Camilla were in tears. What do they know? Well, I think they know that Charles is being treated and he's got the best medics out there. But they also know that this great man has cancer and that he's an older man. And so William does have to prepare to become king. Like I said, I hope it happens in 2087. But the bottom line is that William wants his stint in the throne to be long, happy, healthy and successful. And it's not going to be if that upstart, that disruptor in chief, that SHIT disturber, Prince Harry, gets back into Buckingham Palace, which is exactly what he wants. And therefore, King Charles is playing into Harry's hands. And it's a huge, huge problem for the future King William. And King William will be King William sooner rather than later. And he'll start his monarchy with all of the brickbats coming from Montecito, California, in his direction. And the problem you've got is that this peace summit, it opens the door to all of that. So the problem you've got with Charles is he's desperate and he's weak. And I'm being a little harsh on him, okay? But he doesn't have the backbone of his son, William. And Charles doesn't have the backbone that his mother, Elizabeth, had, who was a toughie. Queen Elizabeth was tough as old boots. She didn't take any rubbish. She didn't suffer fools gladly. She knew her onions. She had something about her. She had spunk. She had character. She had power. She had authority. That's why she was Queen Elizabeth II. And what have we had from King Charles? A flirtation with the prodigal Prince Harry, who should be banished from the royal kingdom forevermore. I've been very clear about this, right? There's only one thing that would open the door to Harry returning to the royal family and to the UK, and that would be an apology, a legally binding contract not to do a single interview or podcast or book again about the Windsors, and a divorce certificate for Meghan Markle. It is preposterous that Charles thinks that he can countenance the idea that he'll hammer out a peace deal with Harry whilst Meghan is still in the wings. Meghan is not in the wings. She's not in the background. She controls everything. She writes the script. She's the director of the metaphorical movie. She's inside Harry's head. He's like a remote control car. He's a drone. He does drone on. Oh, poor Prince Harry, of my terrible life. And when I grew up, we had chandeliers worth £100,000, and we had special crockery where each plate was worth £1 million, and someone was employed to floss my teeth because I find flossing a bit boring. My poor terrible life. Prince Harry, world's least happy millionaire. I couldn't be bothered to read, so people read comics to me and interpreted them on my behalf. Hump-a-dump-a-dump-a-dump. My terrible life. Prince Harry. It's a sick joke that this guy is managing to wheedle his way back into royal circles via the king. Now, I have to be a little fair on King Charles to say one thing. He doesn't have his mother's character or his son's character or backbone. I will give you that. And it's actually the view of some of the people that watch the Mark Dolan show. I've seen it in the comments where a few of you have said that Elizabeth knew that Charles was weak, and that's why she felt very obliged to remain queen for as long as possible. And do you know something? She knew that her son, King Charles, that he didn't have that grit, that stubborn grit and toughness, that mental toughness that you need to face down someone like Harry and say, you are a spoiled so-and-so and I'm banishing you from this family. It's total weakness now to open the door to this reconciliation. And it's naive. The reason why I'm going to throw Charles a bone is because he is a human being. He has a heart, and that's not a crime. Of course it's not. And this is his youngest son. And that you always love the baby. The baby is sweet. They're always the youngest. They're always cute. I know. I'm the baby. You're welcome. Ask my mother, Mrs. Dolan. I'm still so sweet. So sweet. How sweet it is to be loved by you. Now, but the bottom line is that Charles has allowed his heart to rule his head. That is not what a monarch does. That is not what a father does. That is not what a king does. Because there's more at stake than just the family. This is the monarchy and this is the court of King William, which is going to be jeopardized by that ginger whinger back in Buckingham Palace going, oh, I'm still despair. It's all so terrible. Humpy dumpy dumpy dum. I might go and do an interview now with the BBC and call everyone racist again. Humpy dumpy dumpy dump. That's what's going to happen. Right? We were actually, I hate to tell you, we were winning the war before Charles opened the door to this peace deal. We were winning the war. How so? Well, Prince Harry has become increasingly irrelevant. He's got no social media footprint whatsoever. He's barely got any charity stuff. He's got Invictus, which is now a bore fest. And a lot of the veterans can't stand Harry because he's made it all about him. So I would say that Invictus has been damaged by the toxicity of the Sussex brand. Meghan embarrasses herself whenever she turns up there with her little fancy white outfit, revealing white outfit, striding ahead of all the disabled veterans. Like, look at me with my perfect, correctly working body. You're welcome. I'm here with my husband. I call him H. So the Invictus is going down the toilet, thanks to Harry. He's got no job. The guy has no income. He's flat broke, which is, by the way, another reason why he wants this peace deal. And Charles doesn't see it. Charles can't see it. Charles won't see it because he's blinded by naive love. Are you sick of biased news? Well, so am I. And that's why every morning, with my big cup of decaf in my Father's Day mug that I actually bought for myself, I read Ground News. It shows how stories are covered differently by the left, the right and the centre. Take this one, for example, President Donald Trump's tariff crusade. Some outlets say that he's mad and is wrecking the economy. Others say that he's standing up for American jobs and will triumph. Well, Ground News shows both sides and lets you decide, because it turns out you've got a brain! Who knew? So try Ground News. Go to ground.news/Dolan or click the link below. You will get a 40% off discount from the Vantage plan. 40% off for the plan that I use for unlimited access. It is a game-changing way to consume the news. And more importantly, it will make you sound very clever at dinner parties. Ground News is subscriber funded. No billionaire overlords pulling the strings. Just the unvarnished truth from every angle. What's not to like? That is ground.news/Dolan. I'll drink to that. But I'm sorry. Yes, you love your kids and they love you. And blood is thicker than water, although nothing is thicker than Prince Harry. But if the behaviour is so egregious, you say no, that's it. I'm out. You do. There have to be consequences. And Harry's never had consequences, which is why he is so intemperate, why he's so spoiled, why he's so entitled, and why he is a professional victim. And he always will be. That's the problem, you see. Because what are the terms of this peace deal? What does it mean? Does he get HRH back? Does he do frontline royal duties again? Is he going to be, all that military regalia? Does he get the medals and he's on the horse and everything and inside the golden carriage? Is he on the balcony for those royal events? What are the terms of this peace deal? How much are we giving this guy? Even entrance into Buckingham Palace is giving the guy too much. Because the bottom line is that he will capitalise on this. Harry is a very manipulative and scheming man. I don't know where he learned that from. My husband. Can't imagine where he got his scheming, manipulative nature from. But here's the point. Prince Harry will certainly use this royal peace deal to make money. Because he did that with Spare. You see, I've got no objections to the book Spare if the money went to charity. If Harry said, oh yeah, I just want to get my side of the story out there because I haven't been heard, because no one asks how I'm feeling and I've been the Spare and it was so incredibly awful, waking up in a bed worth $1 million on a sort of pile of horsehairs and cashmere. It was such a struggle growing up as a child with the courtiers whose job it was to separate the Skittles. I like the green Skittles. I had a green-only policy when it came to Skittles. I can't have the other ones. They react very badly with me. Bring me out in hives and make my freckles even more pronounced. Humpy-dumpy-dumpy-dump. Right. So he will use this to make money, as he did with Spare. I have no objection to Spare if it had been a non-profit. I mean, I do, because it was very disloyal. But Harry could have argued, listen, I didn't make money out of that book. I just wanted my side of the story. But of course, he made millions. $20 million to be precise. And he'll do the same again. A peace deal with Charles is more material for Spare 2. And it's more material for another Netflix deal. You see, Netflix aren't stupid. they've given the couple, the Sussexes, a couple of $1 million for the first look deal. What that means is they don't want any of their stuff. But if they come up with an idea which is compelling, then Netflix get it first. That's what it is. It's a first look deal. It's not a production deal to actually make things. But of course we know that Netflix would salivate at the idea of Meghan Markle and Prince Harry, Our Story Part 2. So there'd be another book. It would certainly be material for a book. And if Harry's under pressure financially, he will yield because he did it first time round with Spare. A leopard doesn't change its spots. And I would trust a leopard more than I trust Harry at the moment. But unfortunately, Harry has been trusted by his father, which is why this summit looks to be happening. Now, the issue is that Harry on his own, maybe he can meet his father, maybe they can hug, maybe he can apologise. That's fine. But Harry is not his own man. He's not of right mind. He's out of control. He's gone mad. He's a lunatic. Did you see that BBC interview? It was the work of a deranged man. The Mark Dolan show understands that his fixers thought he was just going to say a few words about losing his court case against the British government for royal security, and he gives them half an hour of rage about the royals, implying that he needs an apology. Why is Charles trying to do business with someone who's done so much damage to the monarchy and to the royal family and the institution and the country, but who also thinks he's owed an apology? You can't do a deal with someone that's hurt you who wants you to apologise. Make it make sense. It makes no sense. And I'm so troubled about Charles's judgment on this one. And by the way, this is not a personal attack on Charles. I like the guy. I think he's been a good king. But he's about to make the biggest error of his reign. And it's not going to be his problem. It will be William's problem, which is why William is raging and why William is so furious. And God knows, I don't know if Harry's going to try to turn up at William's house. You know that situation he had with the doorbell cam when Prince William was just wandering around a sketchy part of central London, ringing doorbell cams. The son of the King of the United Kingdom, who, by the way, is worried about his safety, walking around a sketchy part of London, ringing doorbells. I mean, you couldn't make it up. But that's my point, is that Harry is not of sound mind. He's lost his mind. And Meghan controls him. And Harry he's not a human being. He is actually a drone. He drones on, but he is a drone. He is literally he is a floating airborne device now. And the individual with a controller is one M. Markle Esquire. And that's why this peace deal is so absurd, because Harry will do this peace deal to get money, to make himself relevant, and he will do Meghan's bidding. She'll be directing all of this, because he'll have the peace meeting and then he'll call Meghan on the FaceTime or the WhatsApp. What's your preferred platform? And he'll say, "Oh, hello, darling, a good peace deal, and we've got a big hug." "Well, you got to get a lot of things, Harry. You got to get HRH back. And I want Archie and Lilibet to be proper prince and princess again. And we're going to go to Buckingham Palace once a month, every month, and wave to everyone on the balcony. And we'll be royal again. You're welcome." See, that's the other issue, is that this peace deal, I mean, the more I think about it, the more wild I find this whole setup. If this peace deal happens, Meghan's back. Meghan is back if this peace deal happens. Why? Well, because Harry becomes a bona fide member of the family again, turning up at royal events. Maybe he's on the balcony. Maybe he's at Balmoral and Sandringham and all the rest of it. Perhaps he's hunting with his father and his uncle Andrew, who's just about the just slightly under Prince Harry in terms of, moral depravity, or above, as it were, worse. Andrew's worse fractionally, but it's a competition between the two men as to who is the more embarrassing royal. But if Harry is ensconced within the royal family and part of the royal family's identity and branding, then it helps little Miss Entrepreneur herself, Meghan Markle, who is also in a difficult situation because that Netflix deal has collapsed. And as I pointed out, I'm the only broadcaster in the world to have pointed out there won't be a season 3 of With Love, Meghan. I demonstrated that because all we're getting this year is a Christmas special. Okay, and there would be an announcement of season 3 when they did the new First Look deal. There was no season 3. The Christmas special will be the last hurrah. And the Christmas special will once again demonstrate what a huge troublemaker Meghan Markle is. Why? Well, because of course, Meghan's Christmas special will clash with Princess Catherine's Christmas concert, which is one of the really most important things in Catherine's calendar. And Meghan will do everything to steal the limelight from her sister-in-law. And that's the other problem with this. So a peace deal doesn't just bring Harry back into the fold and open the door to Meghan becoming perceived as royal again. It reignites the hideous war. And it's not a war. It's a one-way blitzkrieg on the part of Meghan Markle towards Princess Catherine. This will be terrible. This peace deal is terrible news for Catherine, who must be nearly as angry as Charles, as William. She's nearly as angry as her other half because she knows that Meghan is a force for ill, that Meghan has reduced her to tears, that their time together as the Fab Four, as frontline serving royals, was an absolutely miserable time for Catherine and for William, all as a result of Meghan Markle. I mean, she was the bull in a china shop. Just treated the couple horribly. And of course, allegations of bullying. We'll never get to the bottom of that because they never published the lengthy report into Meghan's alleged behaviour. But we can read between the lines, can we not? So another problem you've got is that Camilla won't be happy because Camilla was characterised in the most egregious terms in the book Spare as the evil, wicked stepmother. It was obnoxious. And do you know something? Demonstrably untrue. I know that because, of course, just the other day I interviewed Grant Harold, who is the royal butler, Charles's former royal butler for many years, a very discreet and brilliant man whose excellent new book is out now. And Grant Harold said that he didn't remember any problem between Harry and Camilla. And in fact, William and Harry were very enthusiastic about the wedding and helped out with all the celebrations. And, you know, they got quite excited about the whole thing. And Grant Harold was there with his silver tray and the, you know, very finest wine and champagne and all that, serving the king, serving the two princes. And he said that the four of them, Charles, Camilla, William and Harry, got on great and that they were really close. But don't forget, Grant Harold pointed out that Harry's a changed man. Grant Harold doesn't recognize Harry 2.0. And he revealed to me on my talk show, quite shockingly, that Harry is not in touch with his friends anymore, which tells you everything you need to know about the dynamic of his marriage. So Camilla won't be happy because she got a bad rap in the book and was, her reputation was sullied. I mean, this is the Queen of the United Kingdom. And her life is not a bed of roses. She doesn't enjoy the best of health. She never really wanted to be queen. The reason why she's queen is because she loves Charles. And if you love Charles, you're going to marry him and then you'll be queen because he's king. She had no great ambitions to be queen. And Tom Bauer told me some time ago that it's not really her bag, the whole queen thing. But such is her loyalty to Charles that she does it. She does the job. And may God bless her for that. And, Charles definitely needs her at the moment. I mean, given the fact that he's given in to Harry and he's going to do this peace summit, can you imagine what he'd be like if Camilla wasn't there as a voice of reason in his ear? Because she does have his ear and he does respect what she's got to say. I can't believe she hasn't actually blackballed this one and said, no, we're not going to do it. You are not meeting that boy. He's been so rude to me. I'm not having it. I don't know why Camilla and William don't team up against Charles and just talk him out of it. Because it doesn't end well. We know that because we know what Harry is like. He's dangerous. He's indulgent. And the damage to the monarchy could be incalculable. And the point I was making is that we were winning. We were winning because Harry's career in the toilet, the charities, a catastrophe. Meghan Markle, no season 3 of With Love, Meghan. The Netflix deal is a deal in name only. She doesn't have the second season of her awful podcast. The inventory for her retail brand as ever. 11 jars of jam, which have allegedly sold out. This is not Amazon. What's he called? Jeff Bezos is not looking over his shoulder at the next retail entrepreneur, Meghan Markle. It ain't happening. Everything she does turns to mud. So the couple were in decline, and now Charles gives them this incredible coup, this great, great opportunity, and it's a huge, huge mistake. The other issue you've got, and Harry doesn't realize how naive he's being, if he patches things up with Charles, he becomes a proper royal again. Meghan will use that to boost her credentials. And in the event of a divorce, the Mark Dolan show is the first show in the world to place Harry and Meghan on 24/7 divorce watch on the occasion and in the event of their divorce. Then again, this peace deal is more material for Meghan, and it refreshes and re-energizes her royal pedigree. Because no one really thinks of Meghan as a princess anymore. But if her husband, my husband, if he's spending time with the royal family and with the king, and if he's on the balcony at these special occasions, and if he's in the golden carriage, and if he's turning up to church on Sunday morning with Charles and Camilla and Andrew and Edward and Anne and all the rest of it, if he's mixing with the hoi polloi, well, that, I'm afraid to say, elevates Meghan's brand, which is your worst nightmare and my worst nightmare, because she'll leverage that, not just in the short term, because anytime she does an interview or does a TV show, she'll make some new remarks about the royal family, and they'll have currency because her husband, my husband, is back in the family. At the moment, everyone knows that the two are irrelevant and that they don't have the royal connections. And even the Americans don't see them as royal anymore. But all of that gets reignited in the event of this peace deal. Where are they going to have this deal? What is a neutral location? Maybe there is one place they could go, which is a neutral location, because, I think it's too loaded at the Palace and Westminster Abbey and Sandringham and Clarence House and Windsor Castle. It's all far too partisan. They should go to a flagship Wendy's, is what they should do. And there is a very nice Wendy's in Tottenham, which is in North London, which Harry will be happy there because it's another very dangerous part of the capital. So when he's finished his Wendy burger, he can start ringing some Ring doorbells again. And actually, do you know what he'll get in Tottenham, in the sketchy part of North London? He'll get lots of dealers there. And he can buy some of the mind-altering substances that he famously indulged in when he was a young man, which he revealed in his book Spares. He can get back on the jazz cigarettes, man. And he can get himself into a different sphere mentally. Yeah, man. Because at the moment, all he's got is Meghan Markle's flower sprinkles, which, don't get me wrong, in my view, are toxic, hallucinogenic, and people aren't supposed to eat flowers. But maybe Harry's missing the hard stuff. So what he needs to do is meet Charles in Tottenham, which is a really rough part of London. I don't know too much about America, but I'm thinking maybe Queens in New York. It's like that, but maybe even worse. Or perhaps Venice Beach now in California, which has become very sketchy, hasn't it? Sketchy. Anyway, that is the great irony, is that where would they meet? They would need to meet in a location which is neutral. What is the peace deal? And also, what is Charles asking of Harry? Because Charles is holding all the cards here, but I think he's gonna play a terrible hand and let Harry get the photo op, get that moment, and he can start to rehabilitate himself and keep this hideous royal soap opera going for another few years. And then the person that picks up the doo-doo is going to be the heroic and wonderful Prince William. I feel so sorry for Prince William. And can you imagine how he's going to feel in a week or two's time, knowing that guy's here back in Britain with his smug face and little beardy face, smiling, pretending to be this great guy. And then William, with that knowledge that he'll be meeting his father, so disloyal, and rewarded with an audience with the head of state of the United Kingdom. I'm as angry as William is. Who wouldn't be? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Folks, I cannot wait to see you for the next video. Before we go, we have a bit of a challenge on the Mark Dolan show. Charles is grappling with the upstart Prince Harry, what a disruptor, what a troublemaker he is. Well, we've got our own problems in the form of my neighbour's cat, Reg, who is, on the face of it, a very pleasant and cute cat. But unfortunately, malheureusement, he comes into my house and he interrupts the production of the Mark Dolan show, making our lives very, very difficult. It's very lucky he's gorgeous, but let me just say that he's quite a disruptor. He's nearly as bad as Harry. I will allow my neighbour's cat, Reg, to take out and close out the show, and I'll see you for the next video tomorrow. Bye for now. I need to be quiet because someone's sleeping. It's not Mrs. Dolan. It's not my little children, Elton and Bernie, who, I'll be honest, are grown men now. It's not cameraman John, who can exist without sleep. It's the co-star of the Mark Dolan show, and I'll be honest, the biggest diva. Reg, who hasn't lifted a finger today. And we've got so many jobs to do. I want to get some stories together. I want to drop a few royal truth bombs and call out the double standards and hypocrisy of the showbiz, media and political elite. But it looks like I'll be doing it on my own. It's not what I would call a team effort. The funny thing is, although he's asleep, the tail is still going. I'm not even sure he's still alive. I might have to take his pulse. Night, night, everyone.